I would say 95% of my work is what in contemporary art we call site-specific. So one very strong motivation is to make something, in this case this project, that it's very much in symbiosis and integrated with the architecture of the space. So what you're seeing here, it's 1 year of planning between the curator of the show, Yuko Hasegawa, and me, the artist, and her team, and my team, so museum and artist practice, spending time together, collaborating together to create something that it's tailored made to the museum exhibition space that we are in now, if it makes sense. So that's one very big motivation in my work, to make something that cannot be repeated anywhere else. This work exists here, for here. Once the exhibition is over, this work is gone. It will not happen again in the same way anywhere else. And again, talking about the specifics of my practice, I arrive, spend time in the museum, talking with the curator and the team of the curator, and creating, I think, a level of intimacy. So we can, and I call it sometimes in a very maybe reduction, like it's a bit reductive maybe, but I call it detective work. So you have to spend time here and try to understand something that is not, this information that's not easily accessible. If I just spend here a couple hours and leave, it will not happen. So you have to gain some sort of intimacy and closeness with the curator, with the museum, with the building, with how the building works. So actually when I first arrived to Kanazawa, this was one of many other possible galleries we were observing and discussing with Yuko. So this was one of many other options. And when I arrived here and see that they are removing the glass panels of the ceiling, and Yuko explains that due to the earthquake that happened on the 1st of January of 2024, this year, for some reason, the panels were falling. And because of health and safety, and of course makes sense, all the panels had to be removed. So the museum, if we think of the museum as a sculpture, the earthquake is shaping, has modeled the building. Makes sense what I'm trying to say? And I felt, and we felt with Yuko, we felt that it was important to say something, to make a marker of what has happened and how the earthquake affected the building. So I remember then doing a couple of visits I think it was in Kyoto. I went to see a couple temples there. I saw these wonderful paintings on temples, on Buddhist temples, and I was like, I think this is a work from my archives. So this is a reproduction of the Madonna del Parto by Piero della Francesca. So this is a enlarged reproduction of this, reconstruction of this painting done more than 500 years ago. Of course, this is a current reconstruction, but the original painting was done 500 years ago. So I remembered I had this work in my archives, and this is a project, the ceiling painting, coming from a show I did in Austria, in a city called Bregenz, Austria, like a city in the north of Europe. So I had this work in my archives, and I was thinking that maybe we could recycle and repurpose this work from this show in 2017 in the Kunsthaus Bregenz in Austria. I could recycle and repurpose it and install it on the ceiling. Back then it was installed on the floor. And one other thing to add about the ceiling and its interaction, the painted ceiling, so this ceiling I'm adding to the architecture of the space, and the quote-unquote real ceiling that we are seeing beyond the painted panels. You can see that we left, with my team, we decided to leave very purposely the whole perimeter empty, without panels. So you can see what is this ceiling, what is this more, what we never have access to, because we should have the glass panels. So there's this tension between the fluorescent light and the cables and the studs. You see metal studs. You see all this like infrastructure that basically makes the museum function, basically, and the fiction of the painting. So you have these two systems working together: the painting generating this fictional sort of temple-like structure, and the infrastructure of the building when you see the metals and the fluorescent lights. So even you can see the sprinklers. Do you see?
Oh, sprinkler.
Which are kind of part of the painting now. They're one more element, right? I mean, I'm sure we can get you the information, but no, I mean, me now, I would never be able to repeat the names of the temples. I'm very sorry. It's the famous, super famous one that has the beautiful, very horizontal garden with the stones and the, you know, when you do the drawings on the stones, it's a super famous one. It's the very elongated one with the white pebbles and the stones. And this is also part of my practice and Yuka's practice, right? I spent time not only in the museum, but going to different cities to research, basically. That one. The ceiling, not this one. This one, 2017, and it's the work, the title is The Theater of Disappearance. So it's part of, so this is a fragment of that project that happened. It was a larger, bigger project, but this is a section of that project, and this is a section of another project, and these two old projects come together and create a new project. And here, on site, we rebuild the whole surface. So we spent 20 days reworking with painting, with like heating guns, with fire, with different types of dusts and soils. We remade this sculpture. So this is also something this exhibition space for almost a month was a workshop. Well, because this is very much aligned with the curatorial ideas behind the whole group show. The way this artifact, I don't call them sculptures, so the way this artifact was made is back in 2019 with my team. I have a big team of like an office, like studio. I hired and added to my team computer programmers and video designers, video game designers, and digital 3D modelers. So I created this new special team to create something I called the time engine. And this time engine is an amalgamation of different softwares. Some softwares we created with my team, some softwares that they already exist. So with this time engine, what we can do is create worlds that have agency. So worlds like ours, but very different to ours. Let's say worlds where there's different gravity, different types of creatures living there, with different socio-political constructs. So with my team, we can design worlds, and these worlds create things, as any world does. And I can extrapolate specific sections of this world, and with these fragments, I create what we call, because we are working in the art world, we call it a sculpture. But these things come from these very non-human ecologies. So this is extremely important to be clear. With my team, we never model the sculpture. we modeled worlds that generate this culture. Let's imagine some alien culture comes and takes us into an interdimensional trip, and they present you in front of some alien creatures and as a piece of art. They say, look, this world, planet Earth, creates Homo sapiens. Look, they have 5 fingers, they have this language, they feel love, and this and that. That type of logic is what I'm trying to propose here. It's like we create these alien worlds and that have no terrestrial, no human cultures, and we can extract from these worlds these artifacts and bring them into these exhibition spaces, let's say. So after this digital modeling of these worlds, and after receiving these artifacts as data, as digital data, the task of translating them and bringing them from the digital world into the material world begins. So this object took a year to make in a physical workshop, and the digital world building took 3 years. So 3 years of digital modeling these worlds, 1 year of fabricating this object. It was, my work always relies on entropy and change and collaborations with the so-called quote-unquote nature, which is a very complicated thing to call our surroundings nature, but that's a different part of the interview. But anyways, my work is always affected by change and entropy. My work welcomes change. 90% of my practice, the things I make, they don't exist because they are very fragile. They're made with organic materials. They decompose, they crack, they basically disappear very rapidly, even during the process of the duration of the exhibition. So my work always changes, and what I wanted to do, and my work is always affected by the environment. What I wanted to do is, and this has been my practice since 2006, 2007, that's how I work. But for this special series of works, what I wanted to do is reverse. Instead of letting planet Earth affect my work, like rains or snow or change of temperature that happen, very local thing, like a phenomena that happens on planet Earth, I wanted to create worlds where I can design these weathers. I can design gravity. I can design geological tectonic movements over spans of hundreds of years or millions of years in these worlds, the digital worlds. So in a way, I arrived to this technique in 2019, but I've been working on these ideas for maybe 20 years now.